Hi there, my name is Kaylee Taylor, and this is my project for Module 1. On this first page, I included some pictures that represent my background. I included a power cat because in 2016, I graduated with my undergrad degree from Kansas State University. I received a bachelor's of education in ESOL, and after getting my degree from K-State, I got a job teaching at Northview Elementary, which is in Manhattan, Kansas. We were the Northview North Stars. I student taught there in 3rd grade and then got a job teaching 1st grade, and I taught there for 3 years. I decided to move to Topeka. That is where I'm originally from, and I now teach at State Street, which is home of the Stars, and I teach 1st grade, and this is my 1st year teaching 1st grade. So after this year, I will have taught 4 years total in 1st grade. I included a stack of books because currently I am receiving my master's degree to become a reading specialist at Fort Hays State. I will wrap that up in the fall of this year, and I'm really looking forward to closing that chapter in my life. I'm very passionate about reading, and I'm excited for my next step in my journey of education. Some challenges this year. We have been back and forth between remote and in-person learning. It hasn't gotten easier. It's gotten harder each time. The school that I work at, I work in USD 501. We are not allowed to do any guided reading groups, no centers, no partner activities. I can only pull kids one-on-one to work with. And even then, that I can't do that for very long. It's a maximum of 10 minutes with each student. I can't go past that 10 minutes. And so that's been really challenging to completely do away with those things. And because as we know, children of all ages, even adults, learn best when we work in collaboration with others. And so to take that piece away in the classroom has been really challenging for me and for my students. One positive though, so 501 decided to not do hybrid. They decided to go the route of either we're in person fully or we're not in person, remote. And so when we're in person, I see my same 14 students every day, so 14 kiddos every day, and I don't have any, AB or, C group. I only have my set group of kids. So that's been really nice to not have to alternate kids, every other day or 2 days a week. I get to see my set group of kiddos every single day. Some personal reflections. I've learned that the classroom environment isn't my final destination. I do plan to teach for a little bit longer in Gen Ed, but eventually would love to teach reading. I love teaching reading. My future goal is to become a reading specialist or only focus on teaching reading. So I would like to become a potential reading tutor if I can't find a reading specialist job, or to either remotely tutor students or to work in a center where I can tutor those kiddos. I do plan to teach 1st grade for 3 more years in a general education setting. I hope to stay at State Street for that time. 3 types of mindsets. Number 1, all students can learn and grow. I agree, regardless of the student. I think that it is important to keep in mind that even our trickiest students can still learn and they can still grow. It just might take a little bit longer or look different compared to other students. Number 2, social capital and teamwork will always outperform individual talent. I agree. I think that you can't survive teaching on your own. I think working in isolation over time will burn you out. I also think sharing is caring, so checking in on your teammates and being like, hey, how's it going? What resources can I share with you? What resources do you have for me? I think that kind of going back and forth relationship and really checking in and sharing those resources with each other is super important with education. Number 3, happiness is a choice. I agree. Happiness is not based on outcomes and results or circumstances. I think so often we put all of our hope into what we think is going to happen, and our expectations are not, reality is not what, is what we expect it to be. So when our expectations kind of go by the wayside and reality kind of sets in, I think that's where a lot of us get really disheartened and we get unhappy. And so I think that we can choose happiness, but still acknowledge that obstacles and challenges are going to exist, and that it's really depends on our attitude and our mindset, and to be, to strive to be positive at all times is really important. What are the 5 types of dispositions? Number 1, confidence. I agree with that. Number 2, being a risk taker. That's really important because we learn by doing. We need to be willing to try new strategies, and we need to be willing to not let that fear hold us back from trying new things. Number 3, sense of humor. I agree with that. I think finding humor amidst even challenging circumstances is really important. However, we need to be careful not to take things too far. I think being too funny in inappropriate situations is detrimental. Number 4, empathetically assertive. I agree with that. We need to realize that change is hard. People resist change, but leaders need to be empathetic towards that change and to understand that it might not be, all sunshine and rainbows for us, that they need to realize that change can be hard and there might be a little bit of resistance at the front. Number 5, a learner. I agree with that. We need to be a learning leader, and so really striving to try new things and to take risks. Alrighty. 3 types of practices. Number 1, focusing and prioritizing. I agree with that. That means saying no and focusing on the most important things. I know saying no can be challenging sometimes. I know I struggle with that. Number 2, examining feedback and data. I agree with that. Some data is good when it's purposeful. However, too much focus on data, in my opinion, is detrimental. Number 3, emotional intelligence. Interactions matter. We need to always be thinking about if the desired outcomes of the conversation was achieved. So we really need to think about being intentional with our conversations and being meaningful and really thinking about them beforehand and thinking about how our words might come across to someone else. Alrighty, 8 principles of ethical leadership. Number 1, personal courage. I agree with this. Number 2, public interest ahead of self. Agreed. You need to take on that mindset of what's going to be best for the group, what's going to be best for our students. Number 3, self-control, self-discipline, and integrity. I agree. Integrity is really important, as we know. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is looking. I think a great leader is someone who isn't sneaky about things and someone who is transparent and who really makes decisions based on the best interest of other people. Number 4, task and employee centeredness. Agreed. I think that's what unites a school and unites a staff. Number 5, recognizing talent. Agree. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and so we all need to really focus on what our team members can offer us and what other team members in the building, not just the people that we work closely with every day, but maybe, I teach first grade, so maybe what does a 5th grade teacher have to offer me, or what does 3rd grade have to offer me? Where I can improve upon different things in my classroom. Number 6, requiring high ethics from everyone. I think that's really important too. We want people to hold themselves at a high standard and to expect high things or high expectations from themselves and from other people. Number 7, sensitivity and understanding. Definitely, we need to be sensitive. Not everyone reacts the same way to the same situations, and we need to be sensitive to how we are speaking to other people and how we are coming across. And number 8, inclusiveness. Yes, I have worked, the first school I worked at, tended to be kind of cliquey, and that was very transparent in our, my daily actions, daily, you'd walk around the school daily and you could just feel that there was you knew what the cliques were in that school. And I think that it's important to make sure that we're being inclusive for everybody and including everyone. Oops. And overall critique on mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles. Prioritizing happiness has been difficult this year for me. I think that a lot of this year I've tried to base my happiness based on circumstances. And as I mentioned earlier, we can't always do that. We have to create that own happiness and to really focus on the really good things that are happening and not the negative things. I would like to get better at saying no, being selective with what I commit to, only saying yes to the most important. Making decisions and risk-taking are 2 of my strengths. I'm willing to try new things, and when I make a decision, I do it quickly and confidently. And lastly, sensitivity and understanding. Reading the room and making sure all voices are heard. I feel like I'm really good about that. I can be kind of a fly on the wall in a group because I do have my opinions, but I'm going to stand back and I'm going to hear what other people have to say first. And I'm going to choose my words carefully without being offensive and disrespectful, because for me, respect is really, really high on my list of things that I hold important. And I think that it's really easy to be disrespectful towards other people. It's okay to have opinions, but there's a way to put out your opinions without offending and being disrespectful to other people. So how does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? Well, it promotes a harmonious school and climate. It outlines ways to successfully manage a variety of personality types, so empathetic yet assertive, trying to understand something from another point of view without being too quick to pass judgment. So just really being conscientious of what other people are thinking and trying to put yourself in their shoes and to be assertive, but don't pass judgment, and to really listen and to really try to understand where someone else is coming from. Alrighty, my correlation. So this assignment overall outlines the important personality traits, mindsets, dispositions, etc. that an individual in leadership should possess in an educational setting. It is almost impossible for someone in leadership to possess all of these traits perfectly and at the same time. But I appreciate how these articles give educators effective descriptions, allowing us to critically reflect on ourselves. These are all traits that we should continually strive for on a daily basis. My relevancy statement. As an educator of a school, it is important for me to be constantly aware of the interactions that I have with parents, teachers, staff, and students. I was able to critically reflect on several mindsets, dispositions, and practices that I feel I need to work on. Improving ourselves is a journey, and it's hard to admit those not so good things about our personalities. And lastly, personal reflection. Yes, this assignment has made me a better educator because it has given me insights on how to improve my overall outlook on how to interact with people. I also feel more confident in how I should be reacting to a situation based on the several tidbits of information that I learned in the articles. Additionally, I feel like I have a good handle on many of the several mindsets and attitudes listed in the articles. And here are my references. Thank you for listening. I feel like I've learned a lot in this assignment, and I did appreciate reading the different mindsets and dispositions and attitudes from each of the articles. Awesome. Well, that was my presentation, and I look forward to doing more work in this class.